Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So this is part 70 of the lady that married a man that didn't exist. So she's been featuring the Bob's ex-fiance. I don't know if they ever ended up marrying, but as of now it's fiance that she is the time of this story, this stage in the story. So the link to the playlist is in the description for those that want to continue from part 1. So let's hit it.
69, how I married a man that didn't exist. This is all relevant, so this isn't just some like wild tangent we're going on. All of these things are relevant to me continuing my story. So we have a few parts left of Brittany's story. Let's keep going.
Video number 8. Again, I had my daughter. I went through her entire infancy alone. I was still living with my parents. At some point, my old job at the RV resort ended up calling me back, and they had asked me how I was doing, how the baby was doing. They asked about Rob. I explained everything that had happened, that he was in prison. They had offered my job back to me as long as he stayed off of the premises, off the property. They didn't really understand why I was still with them, but they respected my decision. But they did want me back, so I ended up getting my job back, which is awesome. So I started to save money. Of course, prior to that, while I was pregnant, I was trying to DoorDash and do what I could just to kind of make ends meet. So I was still helping Rob with his canteen, getting him everything that he needed. We were trying to reestablish our relationship. I felt like things were progressing and getting better. We were reflecting a lot on his decisions, on our decisions.
Please, somebody help me out. How are things progressing? How? When you're still taking care of him? Like, how? Where to each his own. Let me not even say anything. I guess progress to her means Bob talking to her.
Just trying to make things better, like he told me that he, wanted to stay sober and seek sobriety for the long term. And I was extremely happy about this, I wanted him to get better. So around this time, COVID started happening. So because of this, all his court dates were delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. And finally, he was looking at a maximum of 100 years, but they wanted to give him 10. I was like, absolutely not. I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want my daughter to not know her father. And I didn't want to go through like another, doing this by myself the rest of my life. Like, I loved him. Like I said, wanted things to work out. So, yeah. Sorry, that was my husband.
Oh, she's married. Glory be to God.
So, anyways, I was hoping, that things were going to get better. But like I said, COVID happened. I ended up hiring an attorney because I didn't want him to serve the 10 years. At that time, I was like, that's way too long, and like, you don't deserve that, and we're going to get you out, we're going to get you better. So I hired an attorney. I was paying all these attorney fees for him on top of his canteen, on top of saving money, and on top of buying diapers and doing everything else. So I was able to, at that point, save enough money to get myself my own apartment. So it was just me and Scarlett. And at this point, he was finally able to have a court date. They sentenced him to 3 years, but they offered him time served, and he was to continue his probation from his prior charge. And if he was to violate his probation, he was going to end up going back to prison and finish out his 3 years. So I think at that point, he had served like 17 months or something like that. So November 1st of 2020, he was released from prison. I picked him up. I was so happy. I wanted to do everything over again, do everything over again the right way. At this point, Scarlett was 11 months old, and they met for the first time. Rob and Scarlett did. And I remember we walked in. My parents were also very forgiving. You know, my dad shook his hand, gave him a hug. My little girl, like, she saw him, and it's almost like she knew who he was. She ran right up to him, gave him a hug, and just like looked in his eyes. And it was very sweet, and it filled me up with so much joy, because I just wanted us to be a family, and I wanted to work on getting the girls back for him. And I know, it was just so sweet, and it was a really magical moment. So we got into my apartment. We were like living there for quite a while, and things were going good. Because of COVID, his probation was kind of like weird the way they were doing it. It was supposed to be like over the phone. Eventually, it was supposed to be in person, and things started to get sour again. And he was supposed to find work. He never ended up finding a job. Every time probation tried to get in touch with him, he would make an excuse. I was still continuing paying for his attorney fees. He kept asking me for money. I told him what for, and he would just give me more excuses. It came to the point where he was not acting right, and he was very, very manic, and always felt like someone was watching him, and he started getting all these welts on his face, and there would be times where I'd wake up and my car was gone, and he was gone, and I would call, and he would pick up and tell me, I can't go home because they're coming after me, and like just completely being absolutely crazy. And I found out after I forced him to take a pee test that he was doing meth. How fun. I thought we had gotten past all of that, but we didn't. And I tried to tell Emily. She didn't listen. And actually, at this point, she was more open to him seeing the girls, so the girls were actually over every weekend. We had them every weekend. And there was a time where, he would take maybe like the oldest and then Scarlett, and they'd be gone for like half the day, and I'd try calling, there was no answer, and this actually happened where the one time I called, the oldest picked up, and I told her, I'm like, well, where's your dad? And she's like, well, he's inside. He's been inside for like an hour now. And she was left out in the car with Scarlett. They were by themselves. And I was like, you better, I said, I told her, I said, listen, I said, go out, stay on the phone with me, but go in that house and try to find him. And I don't know who this lady was, but he was with some lady, and she swore up and down that like they weren't like screwing around or anything like that, but I think that's where maybe he was finding drugs from. I don't really know. But there was just like so much bullshit again with him. He hardly touched me. All he cared about was playing his video games and I guess getting high, which I told him, I'm like, you need to get out of my house if this is going to be what you're going to do. I said, like, I gave you this opportunity to get out and do better, and it seems like you're going in the wrong direction. I'm going to stop it right here.
What I've also come to realize with this man is he has a time frame with each woman, and he will not start giving them, BS for them to leave, but they don't want to leave until he's not the one that will end up leaving. He's always the one that leaves. It's never the women. Like, it's as if they're okay with putting up with him despite all the shenanigans he brings. Oh, Lord have mercy. A lot of women are really going through it too, and they don't want to help themselves. Guys, I'll see you in the next part.